There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. Just ferocious.
You gotta put your best foot forward and go hard on it.
You are now tuned in to the Ether Network. Live.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's the Ether Network. It's the exclusive right here. My name is Dave Fighter. What's going on? Of course, we got the man over here, CP.
Yes, sir. Back again.
CP, what's going on, man?
Same thing, different day.
And we actually have a couple special guests here with us this evening. One of them is their birthday today.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Danielle.
Yeah.
21.
21. How's it feel to be legal?
Plus 20.
Plus 20.
Plus
Just get your age away. But we have a very special guest with us here today.
One more special.
Miss Genesis. Genesis, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I stayed dry. It was raining on the way here, but God got us here. He protected us. So
yeah.
I heard you had to pull over.
When we was in Orlando, we pulled over. It was pretty bad. But then as we got on the I-4 ramp, it kind of cleared up. So
okay, it was
pretty smooth sailing.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So you made it.
Yes, sir.
Let's dive right on into it because
right.
you've held us in suspense for some time here.
Oh Lord.
You didn't want to talk to us.
Yeah, it's going down November the 5th. What exactly is happening on November the 5th?
So November the 5th is going to be an event that we are hosting that's sponsored by Reaching Out International.
Okay.
And the event is called Word on the Street, and it is a Way Movement initiative that is going to be gathering nonprofits and the community and bringing them together. And we're going to be tackling different traumatic conditions such as human trafficking, prostitution, homelessness, poverty, and substance abuse. So the reason why we felt the need to do this event was because I have worked with a lot of different nonprofits, churches, even the radio station that I work with in Orlando. And what's
the name?
The radio station is called Launch Radio.
Launch Radio.
And we were doing a lot of events. We were working with a lot of churches and other organizations. And I love what they do. I love being involved in the community.
Right.
But one of the things that I was noticing was that the areas where we were having these events that are pretty rough areas, they're urban areas. There's a lot of at-risk, low-income individuals. And I was noticing that we were doing these events, but there were people that were suffering from situations that weren't really being addressed when we were doing the events. And my thing was that we're doing this great event and we're doing what we call good things for the community, but then they're going back to their same lifestyles. And there's nothing that we're offering to them that could actually help them to change that lifestyle or actually be restored. So God put it in my heart. And it's funny because at the beginning of the year, God gave me Nehemiah. He gave me the book of Nehemiah. He said, I want you to read this and I want you to study this. And I'm thinking that it was for my new project that I was going to be working on. I was like, oh yes, I got motivation for the new project. And actually, I think that it was prepping me for this event and prepping me to prepare me for how to be able to bring restoration to the community by the community.
Right.
So
I was looking at your page, the Way Movement, and I was reading, the little excerpts going through there. And from what I gather, it seems like you're going to be like a bridge between the community and the church or the entity that supply the what people need.
Yes.
And so that's where you're coming in at
yes.
Like there are some people that they want to get to know God, but they don't want to go to a church, or they want to get help, but they don't really have what they need to go and get it.
Yeah.
Right.
So you will come in between and be
almost like a mediator. So the thing is that when you're a person that's struggling with these conditions, a lot of times you're probably you're having issues with the law, you're having issues with law enforcement, or you're just afraid to go to specific organizations because somebody might be at risk because you might be have somebody's probably targeting you, or something like that. Whether it's if you're involved in gangs, there's people that you report to. They have
hierarchy.
Yeah, they have hierarchies in gangs. They have hierarchies in human trafficking. They have hierarchies in prostitution. So you're always being monitored. You're always being watched. So they promote that fear in a person, so that even if the person wants to get help, they're afraid to, because they're afraid that, if I try to go get help, that might be my last. I might actually lose my life.
Right.
So the thing is that we started going out to these communities, specifically an OBT that's really well known for human trafficking, which is Orange Blossom Trail, also known as OBT. And we were going there, and I had spoken with a couple of the ladies that were out there that I know were prostitutes. And I asked one of the ladies, I said, have you thought about getting help? She said, well, I don't know where to go. She said, there's nothing out here for us. She said, there's no organizations that will help. She said, I've even went to some of the organizations and they told me I had to get on a list or something like that. She said, so I don't know where to go. And so what I started doing was researching nonprofits that were in those areas by zip codes. And so I went down OBT, the OBT strip from the I-4 all the way down to Sand Lake Road, which is I think the zip code is 32809 or 32839. And I started researching all of the nonprofits just in that zip code, just in the zip code. And I came across maybe over 30 or 40 just in that zip code that specialized in rehabilitation. They specialized in counseling. They specialized in therapy. They specialized in treating women that are suffering from domestic violence or prostitution. Also food assistance, financial assistance, and all in that zip code. And I said, the problem is that the help is there. It's just that the community doesn't know the help is there. So how about we tell the help, we want to bring you to the people that need you. And I don't want to try to reach out to somebody that's all the way in zip code 32803 because they're too far away. And a person that's in that 32839 zip code can't get to them. So let's utilize the nonprofits that are in their own backyards. And let's bring them together to the community that needs them in their own backyards.
I got a question though. You said that you went to one of the prostitutes and you talked to her. How do you approach them? Like, because I'm not sure what the right term for their boss or their pimp. Aren't you afraid that like they may be watching them or they may retaliate against that person?
Well, my burden for them trumps my fear. So I just have a burden for the people out there. And now when I went, I didn't go by myself.
You took 7 with you?
I wouldn't. He'll be there, but I didn't take him this time. I had went with another young lady. It was her first time. And then the other time that I had went, couple other times that I had went with a young man that was actually trafficked himself. So he knew he knows about that lifestyle. And the other thing is that it's not so much that I was in fear of my life as much as I was in fear of the life for them, because I knew their people were monitoring them. Because even when I was talking to these women, all I could see them doing was, just looking around, because I knew they were just making sure, is he watching me or she watching me? And so I was in more fear for their life than my own. And the other thing is, I know that when you're approaching them, you sometimes can't approach them religiously. You have to approach them with compassion and empathy. So the first time I met one of the young ladies, and I'm not going to give her name out, she had just got done shooting up heroin. And she was coming out of, because she had this patch on her arm, and I thought she had gotten beat up. So I just said, "Are you okay? Did something happen to you?" She said, "I'm sorry. I just got out the hospital." I said, "Well, did somebody touch you?" She said, "No, I just got done shooting up heroin."
Wow.
And so I was with her, and we were passing out these care kits, had like shampoos, lotion, and all that. And I said, "Well, I've got this care kit. Do you want it?" And she looked at me like, she said, "Is it free?" I said, "Yeah, it's free. You can have it." And she said, "Okay." And then I said, "I've got water. You want water?" She said, "I would love a water." And so I asked her name, and she told me. And I said, well, I hope I get to see you again. I said, but before I leave, I said, I just want to pray for you. I said, can I pray with you? And she said, yeah, that's fine. And I just prayed for her. And when I left, I said, Lord, please, I said, if you grant me another opportunity to see her again, I pray that I get to see her again, because I wasn't sure if you know,
Right.
who knows what her lifespan would have been out in that area.
Right.
So I said, Lord, please just let me see her again. And 2 weeks later, I went back and I saw her.
Wow.
And she was actually getting picked up to go to a rehabilitation center.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
When you say human trafficking, what is that? Is it, because when I think of human trafficking, I'm thinking somebody go to Mexico,
sell somebody's,
grab somebody and bring them back, you know,
So-
to sell them somewhere else.
So human trafficking, there's actually different forms. The most one of the major forms of human trafficking is the sex trafficking industry. And that is when people, primarily women and children, are coerced into sexual exploitation. It's actually, contrary to popular belief, even though it's something that a lot of people are fighting, it's one of the largest, it's one of the it makes a lot of money for it being such a traumatic condition that people are working so hard to fight. It is a $30 billion business.
Are you kidding me?
It is a $30 billion business, and it's not just sex trafficking. There's labor trafficking, which my friend that's going to be at the event and he's going to be performing, he was not sex trafficked, but he was labor trafficked. And a lot of people don't know what that is, but it's basically they're actually coercing you into doing labor, and they're paying you very, very, very minimal pay, and they have you staying in these rooms or hotels with people. There's like 4, 5, 6 people in a a large amount of people in a hotel.
Room,
Everybody's sharing everything. They're not giving you any toiletries or anything to wash. Everybody's using the same toiletry, and it might be the travel size ones. So it's a $30 billion business.
That is insane.
What keeps them there? Are they illegal in this country? Are they?
A lot of people don't know.
Don't have nowhere to go.
As far as who?
The labor traffic people.
It's the
Why
thing,
don't they just go get a regular job?
I would.
Well, because some of them that are labor trafficked, most of them, they're probably, young kids that, or they're people that are probably codependent, or so they're coming from drug addiction. They're coming from, might be coming from prostitution, might be homeless, and they're just looking.
A felony or something?
Might have a felony, because we have a lot of. I spoke with some homeless men that the only reason they were homeless is because they had a felony from a couple years ago, and nobody would give them a job, and they lost their homes.
Right.
It wasn't because, I committed a crime. It's
a domino effect.
It's a domino effect. If I lose my job and I can't, make money to pay my bills, I lose my house.
Right.
So, but the thing is, people get desperate. So they'll do anything to make money, or they'll do anything to survive. But a lot of them are primarily women and children. So contrary to popular belief, it's huge in India, but it's just as big in the U.S. It's just undercover. It's very discreet.
I mean, $30 billion. That's
a $30 billion
The
business.
NFL makes $14 billion a year. Like, just to put it in perspective, like that's huge. And it's crazy, like, because when you have something that large, you have the powers to be that. They're not going to let that go easily without a fight. And because money, and this actually goes into something I wanted to ask you about your song "Meaningless," because in that song, and tell me if I got these lyrics right.
Okay.
Money is the route to all evil. You better recognize this.
Money is the root of all evil. You better reckon this before it ultimately goes on to control your mindset.
Tell me about that, because I think the same thing. Like, you hear people say money is the root to all evil all the time. I would always think like, well, so money's a bad thing, but money's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
It's the love of it. And you said it perfectly.
Right.
Because a lot of people leave that part out. They'll just say money is the root to all evil. The love of it is what corrupts people's minds and gets them to do whatever, human trafficking for money.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So when I wrote that song, I wrote that because growing up and being very musically inclined, you have high aspirations for being an artist, and you're seeing a lot of people on TV and you're like, oh, I want to be like that. Because honestly, even though I'm a Christian, I'm going to be blunt, I wanted it for the fame. Right. I wasn't as mature as I am now. So what you see on TV, you see the glam, you see the lights, and you're attracted because you're like, wow, I could take this love for the art and I can actually, I'll be appreciated for it. I think people just want to be appreciated for their art. But then what happens is they get sucked into it. And a lot of times we will sacrifice things, including our own souls, just for the sake of money. And it's not the money part, it's the power part. I was talking to somebody and I said, Oprah could go broke tomorrow, but she would be rich the next day because her name has weight. It carries weight. And so a lot of times people, it's the money, is not as important to them as the power, because with the power comes the money. But when you have money, you can tend to do more things.
The money is a byproduct.
It's the vehicle to that power also.
Exactly. So when I wrote that, I put that because I want people to understand how you have to be careful with how you handle money, and you have to be careful with the motivation behind why you want it. So if you're wanting money because you want power, or you're wanting money because you think it makes you happy, that is not true. Look how many celebrities are dying all the time. Look how many of them get strung off on drugs and are in divorced 3, 4, 5 times, going through men and women like a river, flowing through men and women like a river. It's just like, it doesn't make you happy. Trust me, it helps. Oh yeah, it helps, but it's not. That's not what makes you happy. And if you don't learn how to, if you don't have self-control with a money, especially when, God forbid, if you come into a lot of it, it will consume you. And that was the motivation behind that.
And I was happy you said that, because just what you said about the celebrities, it is the one thing, like, people think that money, because of how we look at it, we see all the rappers and the this and the that, the glitz and the glamour, and we go after it. Then when people achieve it, they're like, well, I still feel like something's missing. Sad. I feel like something's missing. So that's when they turn to the drugs. That's when they commit suicide, things like that, because the money it's not it's not what you think it is. Like you said, it does help you pay the bills. That's great. It relieves some stress, but it's not the happiness that we're looking for. Something has to feed your soul in order for you to feel that feeling complete, and that money doesn't do that. So when I heard that part, that's why I jotted that down. So awesome. I'm glad you took the time to put that in your song to minister to people.
And that was what the motivation for the next part of the song, where I talked about King Solomon, because this man, he said it, everything my heart desired, anything my heart ever wanted, I had it. Yeah. And then he said, when he thought about it, which if you think about it, he said, the one thing I couldn't get back was my youth. I couldn't reverse time. My fate was the same fate as a poor man. We're both going to die. And when he thought about that, it grieved him, because he said, all this money can't even afford me another life. So he put in perspective that's when he put in perspective the fear of God. And and honestly, I believe that, do I like death? No, nobody likes death, but death, it honestly, it is a word I'm looking for. Death forces you to reverence God. It does, because it shows you how powerless you are when it comes to your life. It shows the sovereignty of God, because he is the giver of life. And he is like David said, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. So
question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I watched Bishop Jakes. He has his TV show now at 3:00. And there was a young lady on there that came from a pretty wealthy family, and she ended up in human trafficking. And the way she got caught was, the guy said that she could be a model, and that's what she wanted to do, is model. And she was like, it wasn't like I was poor, I wasn't looking for money or anything, but she got caught up in it. And she got her way out of it. But I think that is a lot easier to get caught up in it than people actually realize. It could be something as simple as want to be a model. And then you end up caught up in this thing and you can't see your way out.
Yeah.
There's a company in Orlando that actually came out with a movie about human trafficking, and in the movie it was a story about a young girl and her sister, and her friend invited them to this party. Well, the guy that her friend was dating was working for a group of men that were human trafficking children. So when they came to this party, her sister, when they got there, they told her dad they were going one place and they went to another. They showed up at this party and it's like this. There's a lot of kids drinking and taking drugs, and there's older men there, and it that's what it looked like. And when the older sister realized that this place was bad, she tried to escape, but she wasn't able to escape, but her little sister was. And for some time, the other older sister was trapped in that lifestyle. And then the police were finally able to find the older sister. And she looked like she was drugged up and all this type of stuff. But her father was so grateful. He said, at least my daughter's alive, because her friend actually died being trafficked. But it's true. It's a seed. It's these whoever's victimizing, they know how to manipulate. And I tell people a lot of times that it's what they're putting in media as well.
Absolutely.
That it's motivating these young kids. It's actually brainwashing.
I call it sorcery.
It is. It's brainwashing these children to want to, be models and want to show their skin and, do stuff like that. And it may start off as an innocent thing like that. I just want to be a model. And she was coerced into human trafficking. But I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people think, oh, it's just people in certain situations, but it can happen to anybody. It really can. It's a manipulation.
You kind of already answered my question, but I'm gonna say it. So it's not about the money. Why do you pursue this path? Why do you dedicate so much of your life to the other people?
Because I love God and I know that God loves people. And when I was growing up, I didn't grow up the way a lot of my friends did, especially my friends now that are in Orlando. A lot of the guys that I work with came from drugs, came from gangs, came from violence and single parent homes, you name it, they've done it. And, you would never think it, because Christ transformed their lives. And here I am, came from both my parents were in my life. Came home,
and auntie too, right?
And auntie too. Auntie
absolutely.
too. She's like my second mother. And, food was cooked on the table. The family had Bible studies every Tuesday, and my father didn't. One of the things I appreciate about my parents, they didn't out church us, if that makes sense. They taught us to be the church. You weren't the church because you was in the church. Wow. They taught us to be the church. Right. And when we had questions, they didn't sugarcoat anything. They didn't throw it under the rug. If I had a question about sex, he was going to give me the birds and the bees. And he was straight up. So they didn't we can't tell them about that because they're kids. They told us, they were honest with us. And then when we had Bible studies, my father would say, do y'all have any questions? It wasn't just like you just reading the Bible and I'm sitting there, just listening. He said, do you guys have any questions? What are your thoughts? Right. He asked us what we thought, and we would share with one another.
And you was allowed to speak.
We were allowed to
whatever
speak.
that
Exactly.
That
and if we were wrong,
important.
they would show us what was correct. Right. But we had a conversation about it.
Open conversation.
Even Paul said, "Come, let us reason together." I'm not going to beat you with the Bible. This is what the Bible said. Right. No, let's reason together. You got a question? Let me reason with you, brother. Let me reason with you, sister, so that you can understand. And that's one of the things, in this day and age, is that we don't
ego.
Well, a lot of times as Christians, we know the Bible because we know what it says, but we don't understand it. And one of the things I prayed to God for was I said, I want to understand your word. But the more that I understood his word, the more I understood his character.
Right.
And the more that I understood his character, I see God is a God of people. He loves people.
Absolutely.
He created Adam for relationship. I mean, you're God and you want a man to have a relationship with.
Right.
You want a friendship with him.
Yeah.
And so the other thing is that my father was a firm believer that people are your investment.
Yeah.
And how a community can flourish or a community can fail, we don't value the people that are in it.
Right.
So I grew up I saw how my parents were with people that, one of his friends, he had went through a bad divorce, lost his home and everything. And my father said, I got an extra room. You can stay here as long as you want till you get on your feet. As I was growing up, I don't even remember somebody not living in our house that was not our family.
Wow.
At one time, we had 17 people coming to our house every weekend.
You know what? I think at one point I used to live there.
You
look familiar now.
No.
Auntie too.
You need to recognize it. We just met. But no, seriously,
that's awesome.
that's how it was.
Like a total stranger, like total strangers.
I mean,
or just people.
I mean, no, not total strangers, but if we had friends that were in need, some from our church, we would help them. I mean, my parents were like that. My parents were like that. When people were coming over on the weekends every weekend, 17 people, it was because my mother's college buddy and his wife and their 4 kids, and then my other mother's friend that was her college friend, and her 3 kids, and then us, and then I think another family that had 3 or 4 kids, and we all didn't really watch too much TV. We would have so much fun together. We did little home videos. My dad used to do this. My brother was he used to play he played this character called Pimp Daddy Sunflower. So he would wear my little sunflower when the sunflower hats was in. He used to wear my sunflower hat with this jacket like he was Al Pacino or something. And he would walk in, and then my uncle was like, "There go Pimp Daddy Sunflower."
What in the world?
And we would crack. It was just so funny because they were just funny. So that was our entertainment, not video games, not Facebook, not all that.
How times have changed.
And I can appreciate those days.
Yeah.
So I just believe that when you invest in people, where a community, where a country, where a nation goes is dependent on the value that you place on the people that you're governing. And that's why the Bible says when the wicked flourish, the people mourn. But when the righteous flourish, the people rejoice. And that's a true statement.
Right.
So
I was reading on your page, and it said, regardless of what divides us, all lives are important, are worth saving, and are worth our investment. We can show our community this, by the way. Right on your page. That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's huge too, that your parents, taught you that you are the church and how to have the church within you, because I think where a lot of people get messed up is where they think that they put so much on this building that they go inside this brick place that they think that that's what's going to save them. That's what's going to cure everything. So they can be whoever they want. But as long as they attend this building, then they're good to go. And then so what happens is when you get out in the real world and you start seeing how things really are, you think that going into a building is going to, fix you. And it is good to be around people and fellowship and all that, but it's not the important thing. Like, it's what's inside you. So I think your parents did a awesome job putting that in you at an early age. That's huge right there.
Well, I love you, Mommy, Daddy.
Shout out, Mom and Dad.
The other, when you said about going into a building and you're seeing differently than people think that when you go into a building that the church is expected to be a certain way. I hear a lot of people say that tend to be Christians, I hear them say, well, how are we going to show the world how to be like Christ if we're not like Christ? I said, well, let's forget the world for a second. How are you going to show your brother that you're like Christ? Because we get too concerned about how we need to treat the world. I said, well, if you can't treat your brother like that, then how you even going to treat a stranger like that? That's why the Bible said, if you can't love your brother, how can you love a stranger?
Right.
You can't. We have to learn how to be like Christ to one another first before we can be like Christ to a stranger. And even with the community, why are you spending so much time trying to heal that community when your own community's falling apart?
Danger,
Just like, you know, I know, you know, some pastors over time, you know, have fallen to certain things and people make mistakes. But I'm a firm believer that, and even the Bible says this, is that, you know, when they were talking about deacons, there was a certain reputation that they had to have in the community. They had to be respected men. Right. They had to have their families in order. And I'm not saying that your children aren't going to go their own path, but we're trying to have a church of 500, 600, 700 people in order, and we can't get little Tutu to sit down. You done told him, I got to tell you 5, 6 times to sit down, but you can have 600 people in your church in order. And you know, it's the thing is that we've forsaken the first ministry, which is family. And I'm a firm believer in that. And the same goes with community. Let's fix our own communities first. There's a lot of work there that we could get more accomplished if we came together and did that.
Absolutely.
How long you been making music?
I started writing when I was 12. I've been singing since I was 18 months. My first song that I sung was The Potter's House by Tremaine Hawkins. Was it Tremaine Hawkins, The Potter's House? That was my first song. My dad has the recording when I was 2.
And it's just been on ever since then?
And it's been on and popping ever since. Wow. But I wrote my first song at 12 that my dad pretty much tweaked the whole thing. And I was like, I was mad at him too.
He tweeted the whole thing?
He tweaked.
Oh, I was going to say he had Twitter back then?
No. He tweaked the whole thing, and I was mad. But he taught me how to write. He was my mentor. So I've been writing since I've been 12.
The same genre of music?
It's you know, it's evolved over time. I never thought I'd be doing Christian hip hop. Because when I was growing up, gospel, there was no Christian hip hop like there it is today.
No, not at all.
You know, and a lot of people are like, you know, Lecrae, and I give all kudos to Lecrae and stuff. I said, but before there was Lecrae, there was Cross Movement. Before there was Cross Movement, there was DC Talk and Carmen and you know, some other guys. But it wasn't as, you know, popular as it is now. And thank God that it has gotten to the degree that it has, because it has allowed us to reach the urban community. But I never, back 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I wasn't thinking about Christian hip hop, because I was like, it's corny. It's you know, the music, it's corny.
The beats wasn't there. The lyrics wasn't there.
So what was it that you were doing before that then?
I was doing inspirational. So I would never write anything that was vulgar or degrading. I loved inspirational music, and I still write inspirational music. But I actually struggled with writing Christian music, believe it or not.
I can believe it.
You know what?
Why is that?
It's not you specifically, but like this Christian music seemed to be more, the subject matter seemed to narrow down. You know,
I think the opposite. I think that it encompasses everything.
Well, I mean, if it's not to some people, if it's not uplifting God, like directly, then it's not Christian music. You know, for some people.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Well, so at the time, you know, a lot of the gospel music, it was gospel music. So I mean, everything in it was God, Jesus, all that type of stuff. And I'm not saying that if your song doesn't have Christ in it, it's not Christian music. Not once did I say Jesus Christ and meaningless, and I'm all up in the Bible. That's right. That song was actually based off Ecclesiastes, but I actually wanted to be an artist that would use the scriptures and be subliminal with the scriptures, because
I love it. That's awesome.
There's a lot of subliminal messages in our secular music that people aren't aware of. And I said, well, let me be subliminal and use the scripture.
And straightforward with
exactly. But that was all based on Ecclesiastes. But the thing is that Christian music, it was a struggle for me to write, because it wasn't because I didn't want to write it. It was because I felt like, Lord, if I'm going to write something for you, it's got to be my best work. I wasn't going to give God slop. And I still don't believe in that. I'm not going to give you slop. I'm going to give you excellence. And if I can write lyrics this good for inspirational, I can write even better for you. And that first album was my first time writing Christian hip hop music. And when the time came for me to write it, it came so naturally. It was almost like it was overnight. It's amazing.
It was given to you.
You're an artist. So you play an instrument?
I play drums.
You play drums? Like still like today? Like,
I don't play them as much as I used to, but I can play. Put me on it. Give me some sticks and put me on a drum kit.
I rarely ever see a woman play drums.
Yeah.
They're always on the keyboard.
I play a little bit of keyboard, but I'm really good at drums.
So would you call yourself a rapper, a singer, both?
I'm an artist.
Triple threat.
Triple threat.
You do whatever comes to the mind, whatever you're inspired to do. Pretty much.
I love the arts in general. I write, I sing, I rap, I draw, I can paint, I have modeled. You will not see me on the runway because I'm not walking. I'll do stills, but I'm not walking. I tried that once. I said, no, that ain't my thing. My sister can do it, but not me. I also write plays. I do productions, and I love writing plays.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I did a couple plays in my church. They said, man, it's like watching Tyler Perry, but the female version.
Yeah.
But I love productions. I love the arts.
And we need that. We need that too. There's, subliminals in movies and too. Actually, they're not even being, sneaky with it. They got a movie called The Devil. Just
straight up
devil. They just say, come watch The Devil. They're not being subliminal about it anymore. But I think that's true. Yeah. But I think that's awesome because we need it from all areas, singing, music, rapping, acting, everything, where we need to inject the good back into the world because there's a lot of the opposite team playing ball out there.
Right. It's like I said, I have a love for it, and I would definitely love to get into films, movies. I mean, I love all of that.
Wouldn't that be Chrissy's forte for you when she kind of lined you up today?
Chrissy, she's definitely gifted. Like, she does a lot of music videos. Shout out to DeMarco Films. They've done a couple videos for Hog Mob, some of the guys from Hog Mob, and they're very, very talented, and their music videos are very quality oriented, and she does a lot of the edits for the videos.
Really?
She does a lot of the graphics and stuff like that. She's a phenomenal
that's what's up.
Person. So she was supposed to be here today, and I miss her. So shout out to Chrissy.
Hello, Chrissy. Hey.
So
where can people see your work at? Like, what can they go to on YouTube or the internet to see some of your music, some of whatever you do out there?
I have one video, which is the meaningless video. So if you go to Genesis, instead of Genesis with a G, it's Genesis with a J, and just put meaningless in there. You can see my video there. And then I haven't really put my music online that much.
I found a little bit of it.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I'm terrible at promoting. I just am. If God blesses me with somebody that will do that, that'd be wonderful. But I'm just terrible at promoting. So, but I love what I do, and I'll be doing it until
feeds the soul.
So but basically, you can Google Genesis with a J, and you will find some links that'll take you to what you have going on.
I do have a Facebook that I keep pretty much updated about any events that I'm doing. Thankfully, by the grace of God, I have been pretty busy since the beginning of the year. I've had like 2 or 3 events every month since the beginning of the year.
Talking about events, what do you have coming? What's going on? What you got coming up?
So again, the event that's coming up, which is going to be November 5th, 2016, is called The Word on the Street, and it is a Way Movement initiative, like I said before. And so we do have some vendors that are coming, or nonprofits that are coming out. They specialize in treating people with conditions like human trafficking, prostitution, homelessness, poverty, and substance abuse. What I'm even more excited about is that we're also going to be having a live concert, and it's going to feature artists such as Seven from Hog Mob, a brother by the name of J Mana, a sister by the name of Josie, and another guy by the name of Second Samuel. And that event it's the concert. Those artists, I specifically picked them because, not favoritism. I picked them because I knew what they came from, and I knew that they suffered conditions that we were tackling in the event, and I wanted to have artists that I knew could relate to the people. Right. So on top of that, they are local artists. The only person that was not local was Seven, but Seven actually lived in Orlando for a few years before he relocated, I think, back to Sacramento or California somewhere. Okay. But I specifically picked them because I said I want local artists who the community can connect with. They can, keep in contact with them, follow them, all this type of stuff. And they can actually relate to the community because they came from such, some of those traumatic conditions. Right. So I wanted to create that community environment with this event. Most importantly, I want the Spirit of God there. I want the presence of God there. I want, what Nehemiah had a desire for. He desired to see the walls of Jerusalem rebuilt. And I was talking to one of the artists, his father, and he said, do you know what drew people to OBT back in the early 1900s? I said, what? He said, the orange blossom trees. The trail was actually known for the orange blossom trees that used to grow on both sides. People were actually moving to Florida because of the trees. And he said, and look at it now. I said, but it can be restored and it can be rebuilt, but it's going to take a people. Right. But most importantly, I believe in the scripture that says, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and turn from their wicked ways, then I will heal their land. So
this event is going down on OBT.
It's going to be on OBT.
What's the address for that?
It's going to be at 7100 South Orange Blossom Trail, and it will be starting at 1:00 p.m. and it will be ending at 4 p.m. We will. We're working with another organization called Love Walk, and they've been They've been actually walking the OBT area, giving out care kits, giving out food, water, clothes. They will also have a table there where they'll be giving out clothes. They'll be giving also out resource packets so that all of the companies, the nonprofits that are in that area that specialize in those different services to treat people with these conditions, they can actually get those packets and have that information. So if they ever need to contact them, they know where to go.
That's what's up. Yeah. And I seen a flyer. I seen that you was on it for the Christ City Festival. Are you going to be there?
I will be at the Christ City Festival. Of course. Yeah. Yes, I will be.
That's what's up.
So.
And you all over the place. I seen you in Tampa, Lake Placid, Sebring, Avon Park,
Florida tour.
Yeah. In small towns, it don't matter.
I just go where God says go. Yeah. I'm not afraid to go where God tells me to go. The thing is that I do want people to be aware that it's not easy. Sometimes it can be very lonely. Sometimes it can be very sacrificial. Yes. And I see a lot of people talking about we're going on tour and stuff like that. Okay, having a tour from church to church in the same zip code ain't a tour, but even the bigger tours, where you're traveling from one state to the other, like my brother's Hog Mob, like guys from Reach Records and all these other labels, it's not easy, and it comes with sacrifice. It's not an easy thing, but while I have the time, I want to be available to the Lord.
While you still have your youth?
While I still have my youth. Yes.
So November 5th.
Yes.
That's what's happening. And when can, or where I should say, is there anything online where people that are watching, they can go and just link up with you or get more information about the event on the 5th?
Sure. So if you're interested in viewing our page, we do have a Facebook page. It's www.facebook.com/The Wave Movement Orlando. And then if you're interested in, being a part of it or coming out or want to volunteer or anything like that, or just have any other inquiries, you can visit, you can reach us at our email, which is waymovementgroup@gmail.com, or you can reach me by phone, which is 724-674-2993.
Awesome. And this is just breaking news that I just heard here. That you're actually going to be singing "Happy Birthday" for Danielle for her birthday. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead. We said we're going to do it. We're going to do a duet, so we might as well, partner together on this one.
Okay. So Genesis featuring Anonymous.
Dave.
Dave.
Dave. Yeah.
Anonymous Dave.
Yep. So while you're singing, I'm going to be over here going.
Okay, that's
my contribution.
So
to
it's actually Genesis
Danielle.
featuring Mute.
Yeah, you can call it that too.
Mute.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Danielle. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah. All right. What would you like to say, birthday girl?
That's some hot messiness.
Well,
I said I didn't want anything, and the hard-headed prophet his wife over there.
That's not in the Bible.
Stubborn is more the word.
That's awesome.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you for the song.
It takes 20 people to surprise you.
It do.
It's hard. It is very hard to get anything by her.
Aww.
Yeah.
She's cheesy.
Well,
her cheeks are turning pink.
Genesis, we thank you, my friend.
Not a problem.
You got a lovely, lovely voice, and I love exactly the message you're putting out there. It's awesome. Appreciate you coming by here November 5th. We're looking forward to that event, and also it's you're going to be doing October 22nd. Is that the other Christ City Festival?
Yeah, and I'm pretty positive we'll have more information about the Way Movement at the Christ City Festival. Okay. But I'm there to support, Kevin and Pastor Solomon and Highlands County. Let's come together. Let's unify. The unification is spreading all throughout Florida, and it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's the exclusive right here in the Ether Network for Dave Fighter, CP, Danielle, and our special guest, Genesis. Thank you so much for coming by. We are out of here. Until next time. Peace.
All right.
Peace.
All of it is meaningless. I have seen all the things that's done under the sunset. What more can you accomplish that hasn't even happened yet? Your madness and your folly will only take you straight to the pit. So what? So you think you have it all? The money, the fame, the houses, cars, phones, gold. In the end, what does it profit you if you gain the world just for forfeit your soul? So what? So you think you have it all? The money, the fame, the houses, cars, phones, gold. In the end, what does it profit you if you gain the world just for forfeit your soul? Meaningless. Solomon caught onto this. One of the wisest kings to walk the earth through light of this. Having what he wanted, never denying the right to it. His faith remained the same to that of a poor man regardless.